Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5am Club. It's morning tea on this Thursday. It's overcast, it's cooler today than what it's been over the past week. Pretty still, hasn't been all that windy. So what I'll do is once this light rail gets through and past, I'll head down to Circular Quay and maybe go for a walk, I think, today in front of the Museum of Contemporary Art. Let's go on our traditional walk and talk and do a book summary, another book summary, to click through the number of book summaries that we're doing to hopefully get as close and as fast as possible to that magic 1,000 number that I've set as a goal. So the book summary that I'll go through today is entitled The Confidence Code. The Confidence Code by Katy Kay. Katy Kay, what an interesting name. Katy Kay. So let's go through this book summary on the Confidence Code and see where it leads us, what we can learn from it, and what sort of life hacks we can start implementing in our lives to improve our days, improve our weeks, and get the benefit from. So from the author's perspective, confidence ultimately is the characteristic that distinguishes those who imagine from those who do. That's a pretty interesting point, that one there. So what distinguishes the doers from the talkers is something which is described as confidence. And I guess confidence is the thing that gets us from talking and thinking to actually doing. So the first key point to come out of this book is that we need to learn to become more confident. And I guess everybody at some point in their lives have always said to themselves that they could do with being a little bit more confident. And so I guess the message that comes from this book is something that is quite universal. So the key point that we have to consider is that the bridge between our thoughts and actions, as we alluded to before, is confidence. So people who lack confidence generally decide or choose to be inactive. How true is that? People who lack confidence usually take the easy path. And as we've said time and time again, it's easy to be successful, it's easy to be productive, it's easy to be a high achiever. But what's even easier is to do nothing at all and be lazy and to just be, choose inaction. So an interesting start here. So the author also says that there are some people who are just so negative and so pessimistic that they even decide not to even give it a try, because their beliefs are that the efforts will not be successful. So why try in the first place if all you're going to do is just fail or not achieve anything? An interesting point. So I guess there's a call to action here, and the big call to action is to take action and to at least do something, because everything you do builds momentum and moves you closer to where you want to be and what you want to achieve. But by doing nothing, the outcome's always going to be the same. You're going to have no outcome. And in some situations, no outcome may be what people actually really want. Just because people are inactive doesn't mean that there's a reason for their inactivity. But many times people know that by doing nothing, they're just going to, release themselves or free themselves from doing what they didn't want to do anyway in the first place. So let's make sure that we understand that we take action for the things that we want to do and not necessarily take action for the things that we don't want to do. And the author then goes on to make a couple of points which are quite interesting. Potentially they could be controversial amongst some of the listeners to today's 5am Club, but at the end of the day they've been made by the author. They're not my words, and the author is a woman, so I don't want people to think that I'm trying to say things on my own accord. All I'm doing is being an emissary and basically just voicing and sharing the views of this author. So the author suggests something that I think that we all know and is, I guess, undeniable, that men and women are different. And it's not just the gender. There are other things that are different between men and women. And the stereotypes between men and women also play into why women often hold back in the workplace. And I guess this is probably more relevant for years ago, because women have certainly moved ahead in leaps and bounds in workplaces everywhere virtually. But let's just look at a couple of these differences between men and women. The obvious ones are that men are different to women and women are different to men because we've got different hormones. We've got different chemical makeups that shape our bodies, our makeup, our physiology. And that also, I wasn't quite aware of this, but I'm hearing it I think maybe for the first time, or if I haven't heard it for the first time, I'd forgotten about it. But the author says that the structure of a man and a woman's brain is slightly different. The structure of the brain is different. So if the structure of the brain is different, then that could lead to people suggesting that there may be differences in our genders because of the way our brain is structured, and what some of the strengths or weaknesses could be coming from that observation. The third thing that the author says is that men and women display confidence differently, and I agree with this. We all express ourselves differently, but what the author here is saying is that the genders have differences of expression in terms of the way they express their confidence because of their makeup, their hormones, and the very significant differences that men and women have in terms of their makeup. So we'll go a little bit deeper here and peel the onion and see where it leads us. And I'm sure a lot of people will agree with this, but men are more aggressive in the way they display confidence. So something to mull over, something to think about. But I think that could be true. But then again, I've come across some very, very aggressive women over my career, over my lifetime, working in the corporate sphere. But I guess the author is talking in general terms. Men tend to be more aggressive in the way they display confidence. Men are quicker to voice opinions, and I'm sure we've got plenty of men around us, and the ladies will vouch for this, who are very opinionated, who think they know everything, will say that what you're saying is rubbish, and basically act as if they are the know-it-all. So the message from this book is that men are more quicker to voice opinions, while women collaborate more and are more humble. There you go. How's that for some generalisations? But once again, as I said, this is the material that's coming from the book, and interesting to think about and to mull over. But I do agree that women, from what my observation has been through my family, my friends, my work peers, are very, very good at networking, are very good at collaborating, and are a lot more humble than a lot of men. And I guess what's the point I'm looking for? So I just see through my social circle, all of the women I know are really, really good at socialising, getting together, celebrating parties, celebrating birthdays, celebrating name days. But the men are missing in action. We are absolutely bloody hopeless, especially us Greek men. The men of my generation wouldn't be able to organise a piss-up in a brewery. It's just so sad, and hence why the level of depression, the level of isolation, the level of unhappiness amongst men who are 50 years or over is at record highs, especially here in Australia. Whereas overseas, the men have got their act a little bit more together. They connect a lot better to other men, whereas here we're just so isolated, and it is a sad state of affairs, to say the least. So the author then goes on to say that in a male-dominated environment, aggression is a valued trait. And I've noticed that in a number of the corporations that I've worked in, the women who make it to the top tend to be very man-like in terms of their behaviour, their dress sense, their attitudes. And it's rare, very rare, that you see somebody who excels in corporate Australia who has a feminine touch. You know, they'll swear like men, they'll bully like men, they'll project and, you know, and posture like men, which is a bit sad in some respect. But that's just an observation that I'm adding to the observations that this author's putting forward. And the last point that the author makes here is that the female trait of active listening is something that women generally have, which is an advantage over men. Women are better listeners than what men are, according to the author, and it's a trait which has a significant strength. So that's basically the description that the author gives on the difference between men and women. And now the third key point to come out of this book is what do we do about it? How do we use it? So the author then goes on to say that even though there is a genetic component which shifts and separates and differentiates men from women, we can still learn to be confident regardless of your gender. Because character traits like confidence and aggression, whilst they're genetic, only account for 50% of your genetic makeup. So the author has been able to come up with a statistic which suggests that 50% of confidence is determined by our genes, by our gender and by our genes. So only half of the skill set that we have, or half of the gift that we have in terms of confidence, comes from our genes. So therefore, the other half is available to each and every one of us to influence what our genes can't influence. So our environment, our surroundings, we can choose how we behave and how we respond, and we can basically build confidence by by the thoughts that we have, by the way we plan our day, and by the dreams that we have. So the environment can influence the genes we have. So interestingly enough, and I wasn't quite aware of this, but this is an interesting point. What they're saying is that the environment can influence our genetic makeup, and vice versa. The environment can also influence how we behave and how confident we can become. So, there's a flow, there's a give and take. So experience can physically alter the shape of our genes and teach us how to act differently. How interesting is that? But I guess it's probably true because of the plasticity of our brain. Our experiences in our life can shape the shape of our brain, can influence the shape of our brain, and can basically influence our habits and our behaviours and our routines. So it makes sense that you can learn confidence, and it's not a God-given gift that some people are confident and no other person can be as confident as what they are. So at the end of the day, the plasticity of the brain structure comes from action, comes from the thoughts that we load into it, the experiences that we have achieved in our lives. And we need to understand that we mustn't fear anything, because inaction will bring us pain and suffering and won't allow us to develop confidence and the exuberance and the energy that we need to go on to achieve our dreams, our goals, and to be the person that we're destined to be. So in finishing up from this book, the key message is just do it. Do whatever you have to do. Don't be afraid of anything or anybody. Have empowering thoughts. Hang out with empowering people. Use your environment to leverage your confidence. And don't sit and think that it's based on genetics, it's based on personality type, it's based on anything else. Because only 50% of your genes will help contribute to your ability to leverage confidence, but the other half comes from your thought patterns and your environment and who you surround yourself with. So on that note, let's finish up with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I am well, and I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay committed, stay relevant, and stay reasonable. And most importantly, let's learn to leverage our genes and leverage our environment and our thoughts to be confident, because confidence comes from activity. The more you do it, the better you get at it. When I first started Jim's 5 a.m. club, I was terrified. Now, I have absolutely no problem picking up the phone, switching it on, and chatting away, regardless of where I am, regardless of who I'm surrounded by, because it's something that I've been able to develop confidence in and competence. So it's got nothing to do with my genes. It's just something that I've been able to pick up and run with and enjoy. So thank you once again, and I look forward to catching up with you again later on in the morning during my lunch break, where we can go on another journey of learning, go on a volta and see what else we can learn, so that we can have the wind beneath our wings and we can enjoy the rest of our morning and the rest of our day. Take care, Mea Kapi, Filakia from Jim's 5 a.m. Club, and until we chat again, bye for now.